Thanks everyone for coming to this session. We're going to talk about the experiences of some of our colleagues and students on a program about technology enhanced learning, specifically for teachers and educators. So I have three people here who are going to tell me about their experiences. I'm going to start with Dave. Dave, maybe you could give us a quick introduction about yourself and why you decided to do this course.
Well, I'm Dave Mulvaney and I work with the City of Dublin ETB. I've been working with them for the last 10 years in youth reach, in particular in Crumlin youth reach. So I teach maths and IT, biology and beekeeping there. I think it was back in about 2018, I met Carrie and she introduced me to technology enhanced learning through the town's mentoring project in the City of Dublin. And following on from completing that, I did the level 6 in NCI. So the next natural step then for me was to do the level 7, just to keep myself up to date with current technology and, you know, especially because of the way the classroom is transitioning from face-to-face to virtual, and now we're going into a blended approach.
Thanks, Dave. And Monica, maybe you could introduce yourself and why you took on the course.
Yes, thank you. My name is Monica Alvarez and I'm a coordinator of horticulture in Dundrum College of Further Education. I suppose I took the course because over the last few years I've come to realize that even though my practice is very hands-on experience and practical and all of that, at the same time I realized and recognized the shortfall in the methodology of teaching, and I felt that there would be a huge benefit to students and to my own method of doing things. So I also, I suppose, the pandemic came and I knew I had to prepare myself the best I could. So that was a big motivator.
Thank you. And Niamh, maybe you could tell us a bit about yourself and why you did the course.
Hi Leo, so currently I'm a teacher within a further education and training centre with the Limerick and Clare ETB. So I teach like level 5 business and IT modules, as well as modules on an apprenticeship programme. My own background is that I've been 17 years within the public service. So I went back as a mature learner part-time, and my degree, believe it or not, about 10 years back was done through a flexi learning online programme. So it's an area that it's very close to, that we did the full course over the 4 years online. So I really always had a passion in the area. Currently at the moment, I'm a digital champion as part of an initiative that LCETB have rolled out. It's the TEL support network group. So within that, I decided I really wanted a relevant qualification to sit with that area. But more importantly, what I was looking to gain from the course was best practice to improve my teaching strategy. I felt that when we hit the blended approach, you could see it became more evident that to come through your modules, you wanted more and more effective tools to get better learner engagement.
Thank you. And Dave, you mentioned earlier that you'd already done the level 6. So even thinking back to that time, what were your expectations before you started the program? And then what were your expectations when you went on to do this level 7 course?
Well, I wasn't too sure. I was sure it was going to flow from the 6 into the 7, and in certain ways it did. Do you know, I was hoping that it would really, but what I was hoping was that it would deepen my knowledge in the technologies and keep me very current, because I'm constantly striving to improve my own teaching practice. And it's not only for my benefit, but for the benefit of my learners, to improve their experience in the classroom, and as well as that, to improve their digital capabilities. And
how did it turn out for you when you did the course?
Quite well, actually. I enjoyed it. And I'm still enjoying it. You know, once or twice during the year, it did become a bit of a struggle trying to juggle workload and college load. But I wouldn't discourage anybody else from doing it, because I couldn't put a value actually on, like, you know, the amount of people that I've met through this and the amount of contacts I've made across the different ETBs, that not only now do I have colleagues in City of Dublin, I've colleagues within the ETB in Ireland. And just to meet like-minded teachers across the country is brilliant.
Thank you. Monica, what were your expectations and thoughts before you started out on the program?
Like Dave, I actually did the level 6 as well, and really all I thought that I was going to receive just a few pointers in the right direction in relation to what apps one could use for different situations. But I was really very impressed by the fact that the course isn't just about a few technologies here and there. It's much more than that. It deals with pedagogy. It deals with methods of teaching. It deals with assistive technologies, universal design for learning. It's a whole brand new area that also, I suppose, involves technologies to help and to enhance. So it was, I suppose, 90% more than what I expected. And I suppose in a way, like with trying to do it at the same time as teaching, I thought, well, we're going to try and take advantage of the pieces of work that I had to do for the course and implement those simultaneously. So in my teaching practice, thanks to the assignments that we were given, I was able to actually put a very realistic touch to this and utilize my assignments in order to bring my present students into the equation. And the result was great, because I was not wasting any time of my teaching practice. So it came hand in hand. And yes, I did have to put a lot of thinking to it, but it's something that I can see it will benefit me in years to come.
And it's still, I mean, people have reported as well elsewhere, you know, it was quite a full-on course. And as Dave mentioned, especially when you're teaching at the same time, but what you've mentioned there is that you've managed to integrate some of the insights from the course into your teaching.
Absolutely, because it's the nature of the course itself, it leads itself to do that. And in fact, that's where I find most beneficial, is that it's not a course that you do that is theoretical and that you put in your imagination at work. No, on the contrary, you experience it through your actual practice, as I said, simultaneously, and that is very valid.
Thank you. And Niamh, before you undertook the course, what were your expectations and how did it turn out in the end for you?
My expectations, Leo, before I took the course was that obviously there'd be a flow and a structure, and that we'd be given an overview of the different tools and techniques. Afterwards, I suppose it's much more that basically, it's certainly, at the moment, I feel for a lot of teachers around the country, there's a lot of policies and procedures. So the course has managed to put the theorists' policies and procedures, presenting posters, then seeing other teachers, how they went about it, certainly brought the whole lot together, because the course really got you to think about how the learner is the organisation set up, geared towards digital capabilities. And the idea that you could have a class that you're teaching the same all the time, that not the same tool doesn't always best fit, that you have to be creative, I suppose. And I certainly second what Dave said there about other colleagues. It's amazing the way other people, the way they presented tools and different things, a great learning curve.
It as Dave said, and it's not just direct learning, but the opportunity to meet with others and to share the different approaches that other colleagues have done in terms of using technology for their teaching.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And just, I mean, I'll start, Dave, maybe, but any of you can join in about sometimes, you know, something surprises people when they're on a course, and it might be that something that they thought was more difficult turns out to be easier, or the reverse, or something like that. But I'm very interested in surprises, you know, for courses, because I think it always helps us get a good sense of the experience of the course. Dave, was there any parts of the course that surprised you?
Jenny. Well, I suppose you know, when you're creating your own teaching tools using different technologies, you're not creating it to a rubric.
Yeah.
Whereas now we're trying to, you know, create the tool based on the learning outcomes. So we do have you know, something that we have to keep an eye on and keep track on. Whereas ordinarily I would have just put something together within half an hour.
Yeah. It's something like a structure that you can use.
Yeah.
For so many different situations. Yeah.
No, it has proved very beneficial, because now when I'm creating a lesson, I go back almost without thinking to the rubric in my mind and going, well, how can this be shared?
Yeah.
How is it going to benefit the different parties that will be experiencing it?
And Niamh and Monica, did you have any aspects of the course that surprised you, or had you had the same experience with using rubrics or whatever?
For me, it was the freedom that was provided to us to carry out our assignments, and the encouragement of our own individual perceptions and understanding, and creating our own design, and yet keeping to the rubric. And it's something that I've become a bit of a copycat, because I've been using this style with my own students, and so namely creating a case study. I have found the benefit of that. So I was impressed about that, because before I started the course, in my mind, I thought that I would be doing the typical essay that one would do in universities. And I was kind of preparing myself for that, thinking, oh, well, I will dedicate a lot of time and research. And while there is a lot of research in this, quite incredible the way that you can do all the reading and all of the research, and then put all of that together in the format of a poster. And I think it's very powerful the way, the style in which we were taught, with keeping our own personalities and giving our own individual ways of doing it. I loved it.
I have to say that's really nice for me to hear, because I remember sitting in workshops, you know, 2 years ago, and we were debating the very points that you're making here, which is that how can we provide something when the teaching population in further education is so diverse, and that people come at it from so many different ways. And it was that we realized that there's a great deal of experience and talent already with you, and that we were trying to find ways of harnessing it or releasing it, or allowing each of you to express your own teaching creativity through the poster presentations. Niamh, how did you find it from that perspective?
What's most surprised me, Leo, it's gas, is actually from within our own group presentations. There's 1 or 2 teachers, they teach maths up the country. And who would have known it, that maths could be so much fun from the tools they picked. It's amazing what they've done and how effective, and that you'd love to be a student in that particular class, because it's just amazing. The second thing is that this year to date, I've gained a lot of confidence in using different tools, to the point 1 or 2 groups were like, I reckon they dreaded coming online, because what new tool had I today to try out? So it's to kind of maybe not overuse the tools as well. So that's kind of the surprises I had.
I've often noticed that the workload for the students increases when you're using a lot of the digital tools, because they have to participate. And that's great. It's great for learning, but you know, the idea that they can like sit quietly at the back and stay out of contact, that doesn't seem to happen in a lot of these technology classroom environments.
And certainly, Leo, it's kind of bringing about that what I've discovered this year, it's amazing that you could have learners in a group that are very shy, reserved in the group. When they come online, it's a different form of a confidence. They become very confident. So I think that's important as well. And there's a positive in it.
Yeah, I agree. Just go back to you, Dave. Did the course or any aspects of the course have any impact on your practice as a teacher?
Well, I suppose it has saved me time. I've become, I think more finely tuned as a teacher. I'm very selective about the type of tools that I'm using, because I think I've recognized now the tools that will get the most out of my learners, my particular learners.
Yes.
How to engage them more. And it's surprising it's not the more high-end tools that you'd imagine. It's the basic tools that have been at our disposal for quite a long time. You know, we have this perception that our learners are all digitally capable because they're always glued to their phones.
Yeah.
It's not the fact. We have to develop that simple digital skill that they have using their phones.
Yeah, that's interesting. That we make that assumption that they're all going to be somehow empowered, but it's almost the skills that we think we need most are, you know, as the technology skills, probably are easy enough to acquire. It's the skills of teaching with technology.
Yeah.
And, you know, people sometimes say technology enhanced learning, but I think, you know, what we overlook is technology enhanced teaching. Good technology in the hands of great teachers.
Yes, yeah.
Monica, in terms of your practice, did it change aspects of your practice? Or?
Hugely, definitely. Yeah. I had at 3 levels. First of all, my own way of doing things and the understanding with a much greater spectrum of what teaching and learning is all about. Encouraging collaboration, encouraging sharing, interaction, having the students participate in content creation, all sorts of things that I would never have envisaged before, because I come from the point of view of being a teacher that has a handout, gives the handout, talks to the class for 40 minutes and off they go, 5 minutes for questions. And that whole thing is gone, it's changed, thank God. For the learner's point of view, tremendous positive results. They were very engaging. Initially in September, they were afraid that seeing that what I teach is so practical, they were afraid that they were gonna have to leave the course, because how can you teach a practical course in front of a computer? Well, I proved that it was possible and it could be very enjoyable, and it was. So they are now graduates, happy graduates, and they've learned loads thanks to the enhanced technology. At teachers level, my colleagues have been able to compare some of the things I was doing. I implemented a few techniques that were very meaningful, and they saw it and they felt the benefit of it. And I also am lucky to say that I am part of a group in my college where I'm part of the management, the leadership team, and I was able to bring in to their attention of management and all of the team the urgent need of bringing a time, allocated time, where we would investigate the digital capabilities of the learners, so that the problem that Dave was referring to in relation to having the learners dedicating too much time to learn the technologies, that we could solve that problem from the very early stages, and how important it is to change the way in which we do things.
Thank you. Niamh, in terms of transforming or changing aspects of your teaching, has it had an impact?
I suppose it's really made me think about the tool that's best fit for a group you're teaching. A good example of that is, Leo, that in an evening time I teach very heavy theory, and therefore that requires maybe a little less digital tool, but maybe like the use of Quizlet. And then, for example, if I do the flip side of that, teaching work experience or PPD, confidence, communications, you could be using presentations or different elements. Also, I know you can be creative, but how one tool is just as effective to get the message across to students. The other thing is, it's the use, it made me think about, I suppose, the use of resources within our own E2B. And as Dave mentioned, the need for collaboration, definitely, across the board as well, with all the other E2Bs more than ever.
Thanks. Dave, in terms of, you know, there might be people watching this and they're thinking about doing this course, and they're probably thinking about the challenges that they might face. There might be the challenges of the, you know, maybe to do with the technology, having the time to devote to the course, or the level of intensity, or even aspects of the course that people might find difficult. Have you any advice you'd give to people who are considering a course like this?
I would definitely do it. I would do it all again. And I'm sure in time we're going to have to do it all again because of the pace technology is developing at. It is manageable, and the lecturers on the course they're there all the time for you. Well, not all the time, but you know, if you've ever got an issue or a question, you can email them and they'll be back to you in a timely fashion, let's say.
Thanks.
And it is enjoyable. And I think, like, I don't know if it was our group in particular, but we seem to have great crack in the lectures. It's where we've known each other for years, you know, to carry on. But that's made it a more enjoyable experience.
Yeah, jump in, Niamh or Monica, in terms of advice. And I might pick up, actually, could I just pick up on that point there? Because I've experienced that over the years with teachers when they grapple with technology for the first time. It's like there might be a little bit of feel the fear and do it anyway, but there's another aspect of it when it works, and it works most of the time when you put sufficient preparation into it. It's extremely enjoyable. Everyone gets a buzz out of it. You get a buzz, the teachers, your colleagues get a buzz, and the students get a buzz. I don't know if that's been your experience as well. Like, Monica?
I think that definitely one of the things that normally comes to mind when embracing something like this is fear. And I would say that would be the highlight of my advice. Do not be afraid. It's you know, technology, for some reason, we seem to put it in that box of fear. And you know, we would say, I'm not very tech. And look, I came in with a shovel and my Wellingtons, and if I could do it, anybody can do it. You don't have to be very tech. It's a very gentle, it's kind of unfolded in a very gentle and nice way. So it's good to break that ice of the fear. It's time invested, but it's also that time that you invest is also time safe, because what you're going to learn is going to, in your future practice, is going to save you time. You're going to have your lovely content packed in together in a very nicely stored way, and you're going to be able to, you know, manipulate it in very beautiful ways. And so time invested is time saved. And basically it's gentle from the point of view that you're 1 week on and 1 week off in terms of directed activities happen in 1 week. And then when you are with more contact, it's a very gentle couple of hours. And as Niamh and Dave said, it's the, you know, the enjoyment of meeting other like-minded people and suddenly becoming a student yourself, so that you can actually put yourself in their fate of your own students. Definitely, I would say to anybody, go for it.
Great. Niamh, any advice?
Yeah, I think definitely same as Monica and Dave, go for it, definitely. Few pointers. It's for any level, as Monica just said there, definitely, absolutely. What I loved was, because like the lads, I suppose, and like everybody, our own life is jam-packed. The timetable was very manageable, and also assessments very interesting, very interesting. And you'd look forward to, we've another one tomorrow, in fact, but you'd look forward to other people's posters to see what they're going using, and you learn a lot from others, definitely.
Thank you. I have to say, I've really enjoyed having the conversation with all three of you, and experiencing a bit of the enthusiasm and the buzz that you've got from your participation on the course. So I'm very proud of that, and thank you for your kind comments about the lectures and about the structure of the program in NCI. And the theorist in me can't be suppressed completely. I really feel that mention of you know, a sense of fulfillment, a sense of enjoyment associated with learning is really important, because I think for too long we've felt that learning must be difficult, and it must involve you know, high pressure. And what I think happens in some of the technology mediated classroom environments is that there's a bit of chaos in there, and there's a bit of control going back to the students, and everybody's co-producing their learning. And people then feel, if it's that easy and that enjoyable, how could it be effective? But amazingly, it's dramatically effective in terms of learning outcomes and in terms of the efficiency of teaching and things like that. So I think your comments bear that out, and I think that's something always to keep to the forefront, that teaching can be so much fun and enjoyment, as well as, I know we put a lot of our professional energy into it as well. Thank you all for your contributions.